What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Jay coming at y'all with this reaction video, and we got is Cooper Flagg really worth the hype? I've been wanting to watch this video, haven't watched it. I stopped reacting videos, and then all the good content I didn't want to watch because I know I was like, yo, I'm probably gonna be reacting soon, so I'm like, let me just wait till I start reacting soon. And here we are. We fixed a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff is Gucci. You know what I'm saying? So is Cooper Flagg really worth the hype? Let's check it out.
How do you know when you're watching the beginnings of an all-time great talent? Not just elite or exceptional talent, but the kind of player you could say appears once in a generation. Usually the signs are there. National acclaim at an early age, the masses becoming familiar with your name long before you even step foot on an NBA court, throw in a few viral performances, jaw-dropping physical gifts, a Sports Illustrated cover, and you've got yourself a recipe for what can easily be assumed as the next great NBA superstar. The only problem is we are terrible at predicting truly generational
I was just about
talent.
to say that we are terrible. Zion, where he at?
Being generational and lives
no,
up
Wemby
to it,
definitely gonna be
there's
generational.
about 10 more who don't even come close. But what do you call a player who was given the description of generational at 16 years old, went toe-to-toe with LeBron as a high schooler, and was projected to go first overall in the NBA draft 3 years before he was even eligible for the draft?
Oh, wow.
Cooper Flagg has faced some of the highest expectations of any recent NBA
That boy
prospect,
putting in that
and
work.
up to this point has
Bro, if I was
exceeded
taller,
all
I
of
would
them.
have been
But
in the
even
NBA,
after
dog.
becoming one of the most obvious first overall picks in recent draft history, some fans justifiably still have their doubts. Opinions ranging from he could be the greatest player of an entire era, all the way to he's one of the most overrated prospects we've seen recently. After missing on numerous alleged generational prospects in recent years, it's clear why some fans are hesitant to give such a hefty label to anyone. And yet some remain certain that Cooper is generational. Which begs the question, what makes Cooper Flagg the transcendent talent some say he is? And is he really worth the hype? Or are some fans setting him up for the same exact fate other generational talents have suffered?
Bro, I already
To
know
answer
2K26
this
is going to be a
question, we have to
glitch
go back
card, bro.
long before anyone even knew the name Cooper Flagg.
How tall is he again? I hope they explain in this video. I haven't really done much research on that boy.
Today's
I just
video
seen
is
his
sponsored by
clips.
SeatGeek. Whether you're looking for link in the description. In December of 2021, a news publication out of Maine wrote a piece about a basketball prodigy who was starting to gain attention not just around the state, but around the country, describing him as a talent they had never seen before. A 6'7", supremely gifted 14-year-old.
So he's probably like, what,
Scouts knew immediately they were onto something special
now or something?
and early, because this would be one of the first mentions of the name Cooper Flagg. A freshman who had yet to play a single game of high school ball, who many agreed they had never seen the likes of. Over the next 2 years, Cooper quickly became a national headliner, transferring to Montverde Academy and rising up the high school rankings. By the end of his sophomore season, it became clear that Cooper was, in fact, a talent unlike anything else in the country. The secret was out. Cooper Flagg may just be next up. A conversation that led to this. The first mention of Cooper Flagg not just as a great prospect, but as a generational prospect. This came out following a successful summer season where Flagg jumped up national rankings from a 5-star prospect to the consensus #1 player in the country in his class. Like many others before him,
that's what hype does. Yeah, he's 6'9". That's what hype does to you, bro. Once you get that hype, you just.
But being called generational isn't necessarily.
No, Wemby gonna be generational, bro. Get Ben Simmons, get DeAndre Ayton.
What is out of the norm is the fact that this article was
other dude that was there,
on August 3rd, 2023.
Out of there, Wemby, Zion definitely gonna
was
be.
just 16 years old. At the time,
Zion not gonna be
3 years away
Zion's
from
time is
being
over.
draft eligible. His
it's
incredible
Wemby
physical
and
tools and NBA readiness already putting him in conversations with prospects like LeBron, AD,
bro. He played
Zion,
against
and
LeBron.
Wemby
He played against
before he
NBA
even
players, bro,
started
at like
his
17,
junior
bro.
season
And
in
he was
high
snapping
school.
on him.
But turns out that junior season would never come. Because just a week
you just gotta stay
after
healthy,
getting
bro.
compared
Work
to the
out.
best prospects of the 21st century,
Don't,
Cooper
like,
broke headlines when
you need
he
to work out your
decided
whole
to
body,
jump
push
up
your
a
body,
year and reclassify from the class of 2025
so you
to
can
the
be
class
conditioned.
of 2024.
What happened when you get to the NBA? People start working out, and now 3 people, 4 people pulling their Achilles.
Basketball,
like,
he not only instantly became the #1 player in the country against players 1 to 2 years older than him, overnight he became the favorite to be selected first overall in the 2025 NBA draft. As a 16-year-old who had just finished his sophomore year of high school.
wow.
The rankings were, of course, correct. Cooper was still so far ahead of his competition that he was a shoo-in for the High School National Player of the Year just a few games into that season. Projections this bullish and this early are so rare that we've only seen them a handful of times. Back in 2001, when NBA scouts were already saying a 16-year-old LeBron was a surefire #1 pick, and more recently with Victor Wembanyama, who was projected to be the first overall pick 2 years
before he was
eligible for the draft. Outside of these two truly once-in-a-generation talents, even the most sought-after prospects do not face these expectations this early in their basketball career. But it was in the following season where Cooper would face his biggest test yet. Prove that he was good enough to still dominate games at the college level. But before he even stepped foot on a college court, Cooper did what no high schooler had ever done before him. How do we know if Cooper Flagg will be able to play at the next level and compete against the best players in the world? Well, because he already played them.
That's what I'm saying.
Last summer, at just 17 years old, Flagg was chosen to be a part of the USA Men's Select Team, a team that would scrimmage LeBron, Steph, KD, and the rest of the Olympic team. A team that hadn't featured a non-NBA player in over a decade and had never featured a high school kid. Now, the best one could hope for this kid going toe-to-toe against the NBA's best is for him to just fit in, soak in the moment,
and then you out to be embarrassed, bro. Y'all boys is NBA players, bro.
Didn't just
this dude is 17 years old.
He actually stood out. In a straw poll survey conducted by The Athletic following the training camp, players on the Olympic team were asked who they thought the best player on the men's select team was. The player who was chosen by unanimous decision was Cooper. A team loaded with some of the brightest young NBA talents, and it was the 17-year-old kid that played better than all of them. By the end of the summer, Cooper had already checked off every generational box. He received national acclaim. He was way ahead of schedule in his frame and development to the point where it just wasn't even fair. He went from dominating his class to dominating the country to playing and holding his own against the best players in the world.
Players,
of course,
bro.
He had earned
That's like me going against like a 12-year-old dog.
Was college, which at that point wasn't really a challenge at all. As the second youngest player in the entire country, Cooper immediately became the best player in college basketball, putting up 19, 7, and 4 a game as statistically the best offensive player in the country and a top 5 defensive player in the country. His measurables,
the Bulls, bro. Why had the Bulls always miss out on people like this, dog?
Drawing comparisons to Jason Tatum, Scottie Pippen, and Kawhi Leonard. The kid played half of the season as a 17-year-old and won National Player of the Year. But to put into perspective just how incredible Cooper's freshman season at Duke was, here are the top 250 players in college basketball last season represented by age on the x-axis and box plus minus on the y-axis. This chart represents the top 10% of all college basketball players this past season, and it tells the story of what NBA teams are looking for when assessing talent and who stands out amongst their peers. Up here are some of the best players in the country last season, the vast majority of them on the older end of college sports, 22, 23, even 24-year-olds. But the NBA isn't necessarily looking for the best prospects, they're looking for prospects with the most upside, young guys who have the highest ceiling. And this becomes clear if we highlight all 30 players selected in the first round of the 2025 NBA draft. All of these players had great seasons, but what really sets them apart from the other 2,400 collegiate players trying to get drafted is their youth. Look at the top picks in this year's draft, and all of them are much younger than their non-drafted counterparts. You could call this the draft zone, a recipe of being elite and extremely young, and landing here will greatly increase your odds of making it to the league. It's not just about being good, it's about being good early and having the potential to get a whole lot better. But if the best prospects in the country are here, where's Cooper Flagg?
He's all the way up there, I bet.
You guys are not gonna believe this. He's up here, all by himself. A kid that was supposed to still be in high school as by far the best player in the country with the most upside. It is not a stretch to say Cooper Flagg is a generational talent. But here's the catch. Despite all of the incredible things he's done over the last few years, and his absurd NBA readiness at a young age and just how much upside he possesses, Cooper is not the exception. When LeBron came into the league, we had never seen a prospect quite like him up to that point. When Victor Wembanyama was drafted, we definitely had never seen a player like him before.
And he gonna get better,
in fact,
bro.
I didn't even know a player like him was in the realm of possibility.
Oh,
but
shoot.
we have seen players even recently.
Ben Simmons get him
like
out.
Cooper Flagg,
Tatum get him
that
out.
were just
This
as
dude, whoever
talented,
this is, they get him
just
out.
about as young, with
Wiggins
games
get him
just
out.
as NBA ready
No,
as Flagg's is.
no.
And even when we think
Zion,
we know
get
the
him
recipe
out.
for a surefire megastar, history has shown us that oftentimes
Blake
we don't
Griffin
know the
straight
difference
when he was
between
in-
great talent and
Now,
generational
DeAndre Ayton,
talent.
get him out.
Since 2000, there have been 12 players who were given the label of generational, from LeBron and Greg Oden to Zion and Wemby. Now, for many of these
Greg
names,
Oden.
similar to Cooper Flagg, their title as generational was accepted, but not by everyone. Like Greg Oden back in 2007, who truly did look like a once-in-a-generation
looked like he was
big man
supposed to be
coming
raw
out
as
of
hell,
college.
boy.
Him getting selected over Kevin Durant is about
Wow.
all the evidence you need of that. Same with Zion Williamson in 2019.
Zion got
another
injured and he
incredibly
doesn't care about
hyped
working out,
prospect
bro. He
with
even admitted it. He
superstar
likes eating
potential
too
who
much,
blew
bro.
the doors off of
He
college
admitted it.
basketball for a
He eats too much
season, but has
cheeseburgers,
been
bro.
completely derailed thanks
Like, dog,
to injuries.
you could have been the best in the
12
world.
proclaimed generational prospects in 26 years, or about one projected generational talent every other year, is a gross overestimation.
Damn,
not
look at
just
why
of
aren't you
talent, but
Wiggins
how
look like that?
often
What
this
the
kind
hell?
of talent comes around. Among the
Bro, I just
true
feel like social
generational
media be
talents
boasting
and the
everybody
ones who
up,
had
too,
the
like,
potential
way
to
too
be
much.
one are the players
Somebody
who
could
were
drop a
thrown into
30-point game. Oh,
conversation
they're the next
they should have
NBA
never been.
NBA
Dwight
generational
Howard
talent.
and Anthony Davis are both incredible Hall of Famers, but still not quite
Right.
generational. Andrew
They're not
Wiggins and
generational.
Ben
Same.
Simmons looked the part, but fell short by about a mile. Believe it or not, even
Greg Oden,
players
bye-bye.
like DeAndre
Zion,
Ayton
bye-bye.
and
Blake
Cade
Griffin, I
Cunningham
mean,
managed
he
to
wasn't
earn the
generational. Blake Griffin was
generational
good,
label
though.
leading up to the time they were drafted.
Those three are the
Of
only
these
ones
12
left.
players, one of them truly lived up to the lofty
LeBron,
label, and
obviously.
another one is currently proving he was worthy of the label.
Right,
The
Victor
general
Wembanyama,
public predicted
okay.
12,
And Cooper
and we
Flagg.
got 2. No matter how many players we claim to be generational, turns out once in a generation truly means once in a generation. And with Wemby clearly being the guy of this era, we may not be due for another generational talent for quite some time. What are the odds Cooper lives up to the absolute upper end of the ceiling people have placed on him? Well, no one actually knows. If what a
Sheesh.
player did leading up to the time of them being drafted told us who they would become in the league, then Zion, Ben Simmons, and Andrew Wiggins would be the face of the NBA right now. The inverse of this is also
It's
true.
just so
If
sad how
pre-draft
this dude Ben
projections
Simmons can't
were any
shoot, bro.
indication of who a player would eventually
dog.
become, Giannis, Jokic, and Kawhi would have been written off years ago. We may have an idea of what a player might become, but that's it, an idea. Truth is, some of these once proclaimed generational talents didn't fail to meet their potential. It's likely that they were just never the once-in-a-generation talent some claimed them to be. All things indicate that Cooper Flagg could be a truly transcendent player in the league. Of course, that's if indication meant anything at all. Only time will tell what Cooper's true potential is and if he'll rise up and meet it.
He will, bro. He'll be good. He'll be good, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm gonna catch you on the next video. Peace.